The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Café. This is the United Podcast Network.
If you're building or buying or selling a home, the Real Estate Crew's got news for you at the Real Estate House Party.
With attorney Rick Carter,
Real Estate House Party.
paralegal Kathy Holtshouser,
Real Estate House Party. Come in, have fun.
and comedian Tony V. Now, here's real estate attorney Rick Carter.
Welcome and thanks for joining us here on the Real Estate House Party. And no Tony V.
No Tony V.
No Kathy H.
My binky.
Yeah.
Needed her.
So we had to bring in the big guns.
Yeah.
We had Christine Hurley coming on, but we'll explain why she's not here. But we had to bring in you two big guns.
Yeah.
Tony V. Well, Kathy, she's been working double-digit numbers
No, she
lately
needed a day
at the
off.
office.
Yeah.
So we figured we'd
Yeah.
have to give her a day off. You know,
Yep.
10 hours a week now?
10 to 12.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
All right.
That many? Wow.
Not consecutively. And did I say each week? I think it might be every 2 weeks there. So Tony V, he's been banging them out
Yeah.
too. 20 minutes a night,
Unbelievable.
2 or 3 nights a week. So he went to
It's
Aruba.
all quality.
It's all quality. Yeah, exactly. So we had to bring you guys in.
It's all right.
Johnny, the Iceman from Draper and Kramer,
Yes.
and we got Wayne from Signature Properties.
Yep.
Glad to see you guys back.
Glad to be back.
We're learning a lot of real estate information before the show.
Yeah.
We learned where the pom-poms came from.
Yes.
Yep. Yep.
All right, in case they're wondering, I'll tell them.
John and I were both cheerleaders in high school.
Yes, we were. So back in the day, the sailors on the ship, tight quarters, they kept bumping their
This
heads.
is breaking our other record of
And so they had the hat. They put these little pom-poms on top to give them
Yeah.
a little cushion. And that was the birth of the pom-pom.
All right, thank you. All right, thanks for joining us here today
That's
on
it.
the Real Estate House Party.
My work is done.
Is your parents watching today?
I'm going to tell them to turn it
All
on.
right,
Yeah,
we'll
tune
see.
in.
Yeah,
Yep.
we'll see.
Yep.
We'll see.
It's live. You should call them.
Actually, I just did.
So we got a lot to go over. Christine Hurley could not make it. Next week she'll probably be on.
Okay.
And do you have any Christine Hurley stories you want to tell beforehand?
Is this a clean show? No, I can't.
One thing, her husband, Jimmy, nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
So don't listen to that at all when she's got that on stage there. She just blasts them all.
poor guy.
I know. I guess he's under the weather today.
Yep.
And I said, and she was still going to come to the show. She says, no. I said, no, stay home, pamper the poor guy. She says, the only way he's getting pampered if I call in an escort service. So next week she's going to be joining us. We also might have a hypnotist coming up.
Ooh.
That'll be interesting. Huh?
Wow.
Yeah. I'm going to wait till Kathy Holtshouser is here for that. So that'll be like,
Who is it?
his name is Sebastian.
Okay.
He's actually a friend of Doug Walters.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's going to come on the next week or two.
That'd be good.
And I'm going to hopefully hypnotize Kathy Holtshouser. That'll be like
Maybe if we can get her off the Robitussin, it might be good. Yeah. Yeah.
Why'd you see her going in the Rite Aid
I
again?
did. I think she's the only one that still goes to Rite Aid.
Well, there's a reason for it.
There is. Yeah.
She gets her alcohol cheap there. So,
her
hey,
fix,
story
yeah.
for another time. But she's not in rehab today.
That's
A well-deserved day off.
Good.
So I thought what we could talk about today, since we might get some real estate done today,
Hopefully.
I thought we'd have you two experts on to talk about all the dilemmas we've had last year or two because of buyer's remorse that's going on out there. People had a little bit of different strategies in the last couple of years because the market was so crazy. So I figured, because I'm getting all sorts of stats now, so majority of recent homeowners have regrets about their purchases.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that too?
Yeah, I had a guy call me the other day. He's regretting it. What he did was he was so excited to get an offer accepted. He waived the home inspection. How bad can it be? Next thing you know, the heating system went on Christmas. And,
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he's
Right.
just like, and he needs a new kitchen.
And now it's your fault as the lender, obviously.
No, he's just like, is there anything I can do? I want to sell the house now. I go, no, don't sell the house. I mean, I said, let's walk. What do you think you can get for the house? Well, probably not as much as I paid for it. I go, well, then just hang tight.
Right.
I mean, you actually, the good news is you got a decent rate. It was like in the 4s.
Yeah.
So just hang tight.
So he
right
literally bought within the last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just, he's like, I go, listen, everything happened to you all at once. So right now you're just being overwhelmed. So just, take a step back. You like the house aside from, all these unexpected repairs and just hang
Johnny
tight.
being the voice of reason here, huh?
Yeah.
So you're seeing it too. Well, last year or two, people just buying stuff without home inspections, I imagine, right?
We didn't do many home inspections, no.
Right.
But I just, you just got to remind people, listen, you're in a better situation than you were paying, $3,000 a month in rent.
Right.
You know,
right.
you
Rents are going through the roof too.
Rents are going through the roof. And, prices, they're not coming down as faster as most buyers would like to see with given the rates the way they are. And, we still have this huge inventory shortage, and we don't see that loosening up one bit.
That's one expression we had someone on, and they were saying that sellers still think it's a year ago. And buyers think it's a year from now.
Now.
Where they think the prices are coming down, but I don't see the prices really coming down. There might not be multiple offers as much.
No.
Well, there's multiple offers, but not the 80 offers, right?
If your home's unique and it's not going to appeal to the masses, you're going to have to expect some days on the market.
Right. Right.
But if it's something move-in ready condition, everything is it's almost down to the street. If it's a desirable neighborhood, we're still seeing stuff go either at or way above asking.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's specific to the area. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and when I tell my borrowers, and they're worried about, they're getting a good deal, is the price going to drop? I hear the news. I said, listen, the news is national, period. You can't go by the national news. I go, anything inside the 495 belt, it's a different world, all bets are off. And I just say, it's all about the jobs, the people's, how they feel about their jobs. If everyone's feeling good about their jobs, that area is going to stay strong.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
End of story.
Yep.
It's just, I've seen it. I've seen many cycles like that.
Well, what they're doing is they're getting, or when people buy, they start to get influences or input from their friends and family and neighbors, and you spent too much. This turns into.
Well, here's the thing. It comes down to forget about if you got a good deal or not. It goes back to the basics. Why are you buying a house?
Yeah.
Well, we're having another child. Our needs are there.
Right.
I remember I bought a house, my wife, and we going back around mid-2000s, and then she's like, she goes, "Do you think we overpaid?" I said, "Yeah, of course we did." I go, "You wanted the house, didn't you?"
Yeah.
And as long as you're going to stay there.
How much did it go up since then?
Well, it actually went down a little because we bought it it was 2005, so it went down and then it went back up. But we stayed
there. Is this your Melrose house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we stayed, for 8 years.
The pool with the salt water.
The saltwater pool.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing too. I got to enjoy it.
Yeah.
End of story.
But you end up selling that for a profit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So, but you hit it right on the head with buyer's remorse. They got to go back to their original list. Do you have people come in usually and say, these are the nine or 10 things?
Oh, the demands.
Yeah.
The demands. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just go right down them and say, listen, if we found something that's maybe 75% of these, are you willing to walk away from it?
Right. Right.
And so you set the expectation early on in the beginning, and you usually have a pretty smooth.
What are most people looking for? Well, obviously, there's a difference between the millennials and the baby boomers. But what do most people come in and say? Here's my 10 wants.
Well, I think a lot of, the millennials, my generation, they want the move-in ready stuff. They don't even want to lift the paintbrush. They just want to unload and move in and be done. So they're willing to pay.
Sounds like me as a baby boomer too.
Turn the key, start it up.
That's it.
As soon as the light bulb goes out, we usually have to move. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm interrupting.
No,
you.
I'm waiting for the light bulbs to go out so I can move. But that seems to be the case. So you try and coach. You try and coach the sellers too when you take the listing that, if it's a bit of an oddball home, if it needs a lot of updates, you gotta educate them as to where the buyers, because the buyers they're purchasing a lot differently than what they were just a few years ago.
Right. Now, not that I've ever gotten a call on this, because people have already signed everything by the time they get to me. But if they ever did call me for advice on what they're buying, that's one of the things I would say is don't buy that unique house, even though you love it. But I've had friends buy. They loved it. It was like four levels.
Yep.
And it was just a really cool looking house there. But they had a lot of real hard time selling it.
Yep.
Because, a lot of people don't want to climb up and down the 4 levels. So
Yep.
I'd probably stay away from the ones that are unique to that buyer, I would imagine, right?
Yep.
I know. So they say millennials have more remorse than baby boomers because millennials bought it a little quicker. There's some stat like 1 out of 3. I'm not sure if I buy this one. 1 out of 3 buyers bought a house without even seeing it.
Wow.
Yeah, I've done some rentals that way where I've had people either getting relocated out here for either military or for jobs, and I would go do video tours and stuff like that.
I think
But
with your card, you were a military specialist.
yes,
You're not in the
yep.
CIA now, Wayne, are you?
Not that I know
You've worn
of.
a lot of hats in the past there.
No, so that's just a designation we did. We had this guy by the name of Buddy West. He came up to our office a couple years ago.
Buddy
and-
West sounds like a military
Doesn't it?
specialist,
Yeah,
doesn't he?
yeah.
Yeah. No,
yeah.
great guy, and he trained the whole staff on how to talk the lingo with active and veterans, how to make them comfortable, and also the whole process throughout the VA home buying purchase. So it was good.
VA loans, how tough are they?
I don't think they're tough.
Yeah, you guys
No.
do VA loans, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we did one.
Yeah.
We did
Yeah.
one not too long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
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 And-
The thing about a VA loan, they can get into it with 100% financing. So, and some of the sellers will say like, well, there's no money into this. So usually, what I'll, let's say that because someone's going to finance 100% doesn't mean they don't have money.
Right.
It's like because you might have a veteran that has like 50,000 saved.
They just have the option of doing it 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I'll say to the veteran, if you want to make an offer, let's say the house, you $500,000. Let's say the house appraises at $475,000, which means you still want the house. You could get out of it, but if you wanted the house, you have to come up with $25,000.
Yeah.
Would you still buy the house? And if they say yeah, just say great. When you make the offer, say $500,000, subject to the appraisal coming in at $475,000. Now that tells the seller we got some wiggle room.
Yeah.
Which to me is better than someone offering 20% and saying nothing about the value of the house.
Right, right.
So you're already addressing it up front.
You think they can get out of it a little easier, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten 2 offers accepted with that strategy.
Yeah, yeah.
Just, spelling out in the offer, subject to the appraisal coming in at this exact figure.
So in the VA amendment,
It says they can get out of it.
they can get out if it doesn't
don't have
appraise
to,
out.
right.
But it gives them the option to stay.
Correct.
Right,
Yep.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
But
exactly.
you also got to remind the listing agent and the seller, if they're looking for the buyer to put up more skin in the game, you have to remind them, listen, they earned the right to do this. They
Yeah.
earned the right not
Yeah,
to
yeah.
put any skin in the
Yeah.
game because
Yeah.
they put their skin on the line
Yeah,
for you and your country. So this is what they're
Yeah.
entitled to.
But
So-
do you have some sellers back away then?
Yeah, well, if you're in a multiple offer situation and they see, one offer is 20% down and then you have, your buyer that's 0% down, sometimes you just throw, a $500 offer deposit and then it gets pushed towards maybe closing costs at the end. So you can get creative on how that money gets handled throughout the transaction. But generally, once you have the one-on-one talk and, I would always have somebody like John Marroni call the listing agent or the seller and just reaffirm whatever the buyer's financials situation is so that they at least have that better peace of mind knowing that the buyer is solid throughout too.
So this year we're going to see that buyers have a little bit more leeway on getting some of these contingencies in. Like last year,
Yeah.
you didn't see any seller concessions at all, right? Which used to be very prevalent. You used to probably see those all the time. Seller will give $5,000 towards buyer's closing costs.
Yeah, you can still
Right?
do that.
You can still do it, but
Yeah.
but we just didn't see it a lot
we didn't
last
see a
year.
lot. No.
So,
Last year, too.
I mean, on the terms of the veteran, I've actually had an offer accepted because he was a veteran. The
Yeah.
seller had a soft spot for veterans.
Oh,
It
really?
Even though it was a multiple offer, said, I'm taking the veteran.
Wow, that's
You
pretty
know,
good.
period. And I had another one. It was down the South Shore, the list agent. Her brother was a veteran. She was like, I'm lobbying for this one.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
So
Usually you don't have much pushback, but again, it's if you have a new agent in the business or if they're just not educated, because a VA loan is backed by the federal government, so it's just as good as cash.
Of course it is.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more of a process to it, but
Right.
it's generally, if you're VA approved, you're a solid
Right.
buyer.
Yeah, there's just one additional thing, and that is they have to get a pest inspection.
The pest
Yeah.
inspection.
That's it.
Yeah.
And the seller has to pay for that, right?
Yeah, I think it's like $50 or something. Yeah.
Hey,
I know.
you get the money.
Yeah. Why not?
No, but that's always a bogey contention. They fight about that for whatever reason. Oh, who's going to pay? But I think the seller's required to. Not,
That's like one of my pet peeves when you get hundreds of thousands of dollars, and
I
then
know.
you get. I said,
know.
listen, anything under $100, let's call it free.
we used to get it. Yeah, you're buying a $2 million loan, but they're asking about what that $1,480 for the
Yeah.
FedEx fee is all about.
I would say, oh my God, it's the first time I noticed that. I'm glad you picked up on it.
Yep.
Take care of that right now there. So one of the other bigger problems with buyer's remorse is they didn't think they got the right loan.
Okay.
I'm not blaming you. Look, he's got very defensive.
He's
there.
ready. He's ready to.
But that's what they're saying. They thought they might have overpaid or didn't get the right loan. So it seems like this year's loans are going to adjustable rates at this
Yeah,
point.
there's a big spread between
Yeah,
the.
which wasn't done a couple of years ago, right?
No, it was
The
pretty much
adjustable
inverted.
rates and fixed rates were almost pretty close together.
Right, so it wasn't even worth going
Right,
talking about
right.
adjustables. Now you could do like a 7-year fixed for 7 years, and that start rate's around
fives,
in
right?
the fives.
Yeah.
And the 30-year fix is not too far away now.
Yeah, it's coming
either.
down.
Yeah, it's around
Right.
6%. It's been
Yeah.
good news. What
Good. We need some good news.
I know.
what Fannie Mae is doing for people that are at a income 100% area income, which around here is about 130,000. They're getting rid of all their loan level adjustments.
Okay.
Which means basically, I'll translate that. It means
Yeah.
the rate is going to be 0.5% lower than it was a month ago for that.
Because in the past they used to give adjustments. Here's your rate because of the following criteria. You can
Right.
get
So it's
certain
like you could have someone that has a 620 credit score, putting 5% down, and they're going to get just as good of a rate as if someone had a 740 credit score, putting 50% down.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
That's huge.
That's
That is
great.
huge.
Yeah.
So when's this coming out?
It's out. It's out.
Is it?
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. What else you seeing
I'm seeing, well, in terms of that, I think,
for changes? Because they got to do every time the market gets a little crazy, which we've seen lately. It seems like the financial institutions try to come up with something. Sometimes they go too far.
well, I mean, I don't think there's anything new. What's new is people are dusting off something they had in their toolbox and using the strategies. Like when people lately have been hearing about these 2-1 buy downs, like it's a new program. I've been in the business 28 years, and 2-1 buy downs existed then.
all right.
you
So
know,
it's a 2-1 buy down.
So it's a way of not qualifying, but a way of easing into the payments. So let's say the rate is 6.5%, the actual note rate. So a 2-1 buy down would mean the first year the payment is based on 4.5%, and then the second year it goes up 5.5%. So that's not the rate; it's what the payment's based on. And then to fund that, what you do is you take the difference of the interest of the 4.5 versus the 6.5 for the whole year, and then the difference of the 5.5 to 6.5, add it all up, and that's what needs to be paid up front. So translation, that comes out to almost 2.5 points.
So you're getting the money up front, but you're able to qualify at the lower interest rate.
No, you don't qualify. You can't qualify. It still qualify, say, at the 6.5%.
Yeah.
What it does, it helps with the payment shock. The seller can pay that. So say a $500,000 loan, all right? So that comes out to what, like $13,000?
Yeah.
That gets paid up front. The seller can pay it. The beauty is the buyer gets to write that off on their taxes.
Yeah.
Because that gets reported on the form, the 1098-R form, interest form. And what I like about it too, let's say the rates drop next year and they refinance, that gets prorated refundable. So let's say they're in
So
it for
even
a
if
year.
the seller paid for it,
Even the seller paid for it.
buyer gets that refunded.
So let's say they get half of it back. Now you can use that half to pay for closing costs to refinance. So they're going to refinance at no closing costs at a decent rate.
But that program hasn't been out in a long time, though.
No,
Well,
no,
it's in existence.
It became
but-
popular when the rates jumped up earlier this year.
Right,
So
right.
everybody was like touting this brand new program.
Yeah.
No, it's just it was a program there. People, it was a strategy that
Yep.
people reemployed is what it was.
I hope negative amortizations come out just so Kathy Holtshouser can explain those gains to the buyers.
Absolutely. I love that.
Those are a lot
program.
of fun.
That was a great cash flow management tool if it was done right.
Is that what you're calling it?
Yes, it absolutely was.
Tell he's in the lending cash manager.
Cash flow management tool.
Yep.
I had someone where he was like textbook.
We used to call it a nightmare. So
No. What was a nightmare is when it was explained, or at least the way people thought it was that was their payment for 30 years, and it wasn't the case.
Exactly. That was the problem.
Yeah, and then
They thought they only. that was.
and as it started
that was,
stepping up, then they all of a sudden it triggered
what
an
do you
event.
mean I owe another $150,000?
Yep.
Yeah, and my payments doubled overnight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then that's when all the wheels started falling off the bus real fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had someone where it was a textbook. It worked out perfect for him. He bought a house in Weston, and he paid the minimum payment. And he lived in Weston for about 8 years. The value of his house doubled.
Yeah.
He paid very little, and then when he sold it, he made all this profit. And that interest that accrued, he paid at close, and he got to write that off that year.
Yeah,
everything was like perfect, textbook.
So, back to buyer's remorse. They
Yeah.
might want to check with you before they're putting in offers, because there's a lot of different programs. Because that's one of the things buyer's remorse. And again, with the millennials, they don't know about these other programs out there.
Well, and I can help them strengthen the offer. That way I can explain different options.
Yeah, I mean,
for
they
them.
don't. A lot of them don't even know about what closing costs are.
No.
So I mean, a lot of us who've done loans on our own personal principal residence for years, we know what closing costs are, but they don't really know what closing costs are. What's owner's title insurance, what's recording fees, on and on and on. So that was another big item on buyer's remorse. That and maintenance costs. They don't know about maintenance costs when they buy. So I can just show them my $2,000 oil bill I just paid for that they might not know about. So
I get the calls weekly now from either buyers or tenants, and they think their utilities are shared with somebody else because they're never home, and their electricity bill is double than what it was the month before, and it's I'm dealing with it. Everyone's dealing with it, and it's
so
it's
they
a
thought
tough
because
time.
their fees are so much now that it's literally must be shared with someone else.
There's got to be something.
Right,
yeah,
right.
the neighbor is plugged in next door.
I
with an
actually did
extension.
really have that happen once. We had a seller sell, and like a month later, the buyer was calling up saying, make a long story short, I guess the other neighbor was paying for this person's electric bill for about 10 years.
Unbelievable.
And never really dawned on why he never had an electric bill. And the buyer figured out, where's my electric bill? I go, I don't know, call your neighbor. So it does happen. So what else do they have for buyer's remorse?
I heard one where it was a millennial and the value of the house dropped, and that millennial thought the realtor should reimburse him for the difference.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's only
Truly.
fair. Right.
You sold me
That's
this.
why we pay insurance, right?
You guaranteed this value of this house. I know. You emphasize a millennial said that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what year were you born?
87.
87. Okay.
I think I fall into that.
Yeah. So what does it go up to? 96? I don't know. We'll figure it out. Chris, you'll be
It's
all
from
over that.
85,
Yeah.
85 to 96.
Yeah,
I
and then
think so.
then Z, right? Generation
Z.
Just because I couldn't figure out what they call them. So,
No.
unexpected maintenance. Here's another one. They didn't like the neighborhood. I'm really surprised by this one. You think you would drive through the neighborhood?
At different times of the day. Even,
Right,
you know,
right.
Yeah.
Especially if you live near a bar, you might want to probably hang out there at like 9 or 10 o'clock on a Friday night just to see
Just to
what
see
the
what's
traffic's
going on,
like.
John Marroni's example is.
Yeah.
In case you want to go to a bar,
You got to figure out when happy hour
All right,
is.
pizza junk.
same thing. I know. All right. So the mortgage payment was too expensive. We talked about that. The house feels too big. People usually coming from, you must get that. People coming from the rental situation.
Yep.
Even if they buy just, a 3 or 4 bedroom house, all of a sudden, oh my God, this thing is, now the upkeep of this is overwhelming. I wish I had known all about this.
I don't have these problems. I don't know. This must be from another part of the country.
I know. If it seems big, tell them to invite some company over.
Well, their example was, I wasn't going to say this. They said, well, put a fitness gym in one of the extra
There you
rooms.
go.
So
Yeah. Or rent it out, Airbnb.
that's
it or
exactly
something.
what they were saying there.
Yeah.
Fitness gym. I started my January 1st. I got back on my stationary bike. Do I look better?
Yeah.
after a
You look
day?
great.
Yeah.
Thank
I was
you.
going to ask
Thank
you earlier.
No, stop.
I thought it was just a new fleece here.
You like this one? I got
Is
this
that
one.
the Beauport, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Is it?
He usually likes my Under Armour ones.
The Under Armour,
He
yeah.
comes in like $900 suits and wants to know if this is my best Under Armour sweatshirt. Yes, it is. Matter of fact, I mean they do have different scales. All right, so let's see. You're facing a sudden loss of savings was buyer's remorse, which I can see that. You've saved all your life, and now you did have $40,000 or $50,000 in your bank account. Now it's long gone, but
Well, it's not long gone. You just took that money and put it into
it's
another.
almost like you
another
read
vehicle.
these notes. That's
I've
exactly
been
what
looking over your shoulder the whole time. I'm trying to get ahead of
That's
this.
Good luck. But that's exactly what they were saying. Say, listen, you didn't lose it, other than your one person who said the broker got yelled at because the house went down in value. But I mean, you just now it's an asset as opposed to sitting in your bank account, which will go up a lot more than your bank account's going to
Well,
go
not
up.
only that. I mean, even if it didn't go up in value, say in 5 years, your principal of your mortgage drops $50,000. So you just picked up $50,000 in equity.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
So eventually the house will be paid off, and so let's say 5 years.
Yep.
You picked up $50,000.
Yep.
Because of the principal balance, and now let's say the house appreciates, say like even 2%, right? So you're going to get out of maybe let's say $15,000 a year.
Yep.
5 years, $75,000. Add the $50,000 that you paid. You gained $125,000.
Right.
Yeah.
And this
Period.
relates to
versus the $40,000. So you're still up.
Right. This relates to the conversation because some buyers say, everyone's told me I have to have 20% down.
You don't.
They didn't have 20% down. So I said, I have to do the stupid mortgage insurance, which you can not rationalize. You can explain why that actually makes sense.
Well, yeah, because especially if you have great credit, because FICO scores affect PMI as well. So I've seen people putting 5% down, and the monthly PMI is as low as like $75 a month, right? So that's let's say $1,000 a year, right? Well, I'm saying you're making out $15,000 a year,
right?
So you're still ahead $14,000.
Right.
Yeah, it's called leverage, is what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And this works well when prices of houses are going up. You don't really see the prices going down, right? As of yet, they might be on the market a little bit longer. They might not get the same amount of offers, but I guess there are some out there that are being reduced.
Yeah, west of the 495 belt, we're seeing more sitting on the market. But anything, like I said, it falls down to almost to the street. If you're on a very desirable street or neighborhood, you're always going to see a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
But anything, might be if it's a little dated inside or not in the best location, or if it's got that oddball, where it's not attracting the masses, you should expect days on market.
Yeah.
Unless you price it accordingly,
Right.
And you
Right.
you get the activity in the beginning and you move it. So
So we've had on our show several times Doug Walters, right?
Doug,
Who's now working with your office.
he most certainly is. Yeah,
He
Doug's
wears
great.
a lot of hats.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's
So
unbelievable.
he's really good at the social media and how to present how to market it and
No, his property websites and the photography, the videography, the drone footage. I mean, it's nobody does it like he does.
Right,
I mean,
right.
and then it's not just taking the pictures. It's all the time afterwards on editing and adjusting colors and putting it together as good and as professional as it does. And that's what's really helping a lot of the some of those oddball homes get sold because he can market them in such a way that it does look very attractive.
you guys have a nice one. I won't mention the town because I know it's under agreement, so we might as well wait till it closes. But very nice presentation. Very, photography was unbelievable.
Yep.
I'm thinking, oh man, I'd like to buy that one.
Yeah.
I wonder if I should tell.
Is that the one we're thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful
Yeah.
house.
No,
there.
it's beautiful.
So
Tell me.
It's in a town called.
I like how Christine Hurley does it in honor of Christine. She goes, I can't say where my husband works. Begins with R. Randolph. So,
I'll give you a hint. Randolph.
Yeah.
and if you don't have a big bucket of chicken,
She's funny.
we'll save those to next week there. So what do you think? Give us both your prognosis for this year, and we can wrap this baby up.
I'm looking optimistic for this year.
I think rates came down, so
Yep,
don't be
and
horrified by that.
They'll continue to drop. I
Yep.
think by the summertime, probably be in the low 5s, possibly high 4s.
Yep.
Because I think that the Fed overshot too much raising the rates, so
Yep.
you'll start seeing them
Yep.
do an about face, start dropping when they finally admit that we're in a recession.
Yep.
And then they got to do something about that.
Yeah.
So we'll see that again.
Because they're good about being forthright like that.
Oh, God, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Especially during the election
Yep.
cycle.
What are you seeing out there? What are you seeing this? I know it's a little slower now, but I think once, because this is how it always used to be. And these last couple of years were just out of the norm.
Yeah.
So, we used to always have rates 4 or 5%. We never had 100 offers on each house.
Yep.
We never had lines of people lined up. So we're kind of back to where it normally is. It's just people got to put out that these last 2 years as really being an aberration and move forward.
Yep. I think there's some people that's still expecting the rates to drop down in that 2-3%.
Yeah.
And then there's some people that are expecting the prices to drop significantly.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
And the people in between, those are the ones I want to get with because
Right.
they're ready to go.
Right.
And, I just try and coach them in the beginning. Listen, there's no rush here. Let's get all of our ducks in order.
Right.
And get the pre-approval in process.
Right.
So that once we do find something, we can jump on it immediately. But now I still feel is the best time to be in the market because with all these other people sitting back, waiting for the prices to drop or the interest rates to drop.
Right.
There's still, opportunity there to take your time, keep your inspection in, keep
Great
the
point.
appraisal in, and possibly even get a few dollars shaved off the price. So.
Well, what I tell them is, with the interest rates being higher, you're going to have less competition. Mm-hmm. You're going to be able to get that home.
It's a great time to buy a house when interest rates are high.
Yeah, I said if you really believe the rates are going to drop, then refinance when that happens.
Right.
Because the house.
And when rates drop, prices will go up a little bit.
Yeah.
So you get the best of both worlds.
Exactly.
Right.
And especially if you're in the city and you're in a 1-bedroom apartment paying $4,000 a month, $40, you're not having payment shock. That's for sure.
Yeah.
At all.
So, in a nutshell, and I think you guys both hit it on the head, to avoid buyer's remorse, you got to do your due diligence.
Yep.
And it seems like people who haven't done their due diligence, they're just buying a house without even seeing it, without a home inspection, without talking to a mortgage originator about what programs they have out there, what costs are, about talking, what maintenance fees are going to be. Those are the ones that have the buyer's remorse.
Yep.
Wow, I can't believe how much we went over today.
It was a lot.
This is more real estate than we did all of last year.
Wow, that's crazy.
Wow, this is going to be good.
This could be 2 shows.
Maybe we should take little segments of this and put in all the other shows that Tony and Kathy are in.
There you go.
Sounds good.
So, and I just got to thank the studio audience.
No, this is fantastic.
It's
Sold out.
unbelievable.
Sold out.
Yeah, they're well behaved too.
They're well behaved. And I got to thank, and I'm sure when Tony V comes back and Kathy comes back, we're going to talk about all the thanks to all the people we had last year, all our wonderful sponsors. Same amount of people.
Yeah, no, this is good.
Definitely couldn't do it without the sponsors.
And Rick, thank you for having us.
No, you're great. A pleasure.
Yeah.
You guys are the best. So I appreciate that.
You got it.
And hopefully we'll see Tony V, Kathy back, Wayne, Johnny the Iceman. We appreciate all your help. And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Here it is.
Thanks for joining us here on
2023.
our Real Estate House Party. Cue up our theme song and let's roll out of here.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Café, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.